Thank you. What an introduction. Thank you. Thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you all. So, how's the energy at this point of the night? Are we still here? Yeah? Yeah, we are. Okay, fantastic. Wonderful. So, the plan today is to go from malaise to renaissance. And maybe you get to take something home about that feeling that we might have about what is happening with language models and AI. Who here has decided to skip the wave? And I'm not going to use these things. Okay, nobody. No, yeah, somebody. Somebody's honest. Okay. Who here instead is using these things but is feeling a little bit like, ooh, what is going on? Just a few. Okay. And who is very optimistic about the future? It's going to be great. Oh, there's a crowd of optimists. I love that. So you don't need my talk, basically. You can go home. All right. So I think we should be optimists. I'm grateful that you are. But I'm going to give you a few words of advice. The first word of advice comes from William Gibson. William Gibson coined the term cyberspace for us, and is a science fiction author that writes so well that the movies that come out of his books are horrible. And I strongly suggest you pick up Neuromancer if you haven't seen it already. Read it already, pardon me. And offhand, in an interview many years ago, he says, the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Now, for today, just for the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I want you to think that the future is already here. That we have those smart artificial general intelligence, that we don't need to have 9 language models check each other in order to have the correct answer, okay? That we have that technology already. The second quotation that I want to start with is from Joseph Campbell, who is a person that studied stories and myths and religions and connected the dots for us in something very beautiful and very scary called the hero's journey. And it's very misused, but you can use it for good. And he says that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And I want to invite you to my personal cave. I call it the gap. And basically, everything you desire is here on this side, okay? And you are stuck. You are a 1950s American convertible, and there is no bridge. And the only thing that you can do is to come down here. Who here is an entrepreneur or a freelancer working for themselves, a solopreneur? You feel my pain, my friends. Every morning you wake up and you have to decide what to do. You have to decide what are the 99,000 things that you are not going to do. And then you'll have to think, how do I measure this result? It feels like you're pushing walls all the time. And the days that I cry are the days where I'm making progress. This is what it looks like for me to be a solopreneur. And I've been in the gap for so long, and I thought it was a bad thing. Because as a kid, I loved computers, not cool computers, they didn't look that cool at the time. And I loved computers much more than people, I have to admit. And that put me, socially quite at odds. My friends would invite me to a party and I would note it down on my Palm Pilot. Yeah, they wouldn't invite me to a party anyway, so that's a false memory. And when my classmates were looking for a girlfriend, I was looking for a boyfriend, and that always put me a little bit at odds with society, and things are not going so well. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that. What's inside this gap that is so scary is not just the pain. It's the conflict. We want to avoid conflict at any cost. Okay? And what I invite you to do is what I do. I identify with the boxer. Guess which one? And not the one standing tall, the one falling to the ground. And I think that way I'm more prepared to get the hits that come from life. And I guess this hit was pretty hard. They told us that the truckers were screwed, factories would be automated, that menial jobs will disappear. Instead, the AIs came for the creatives, for the art directors, for the content writers, for the SEOs, for the poets. That's a surprise. And what do we do when there is disruption? Well, we retreat to our usual patterns. You know, what did I learn in school? What did I learn from society? What did I learn from my parents? I learned how to hustle. I learned how to output, power through difficulties, through pain, get to the other side. Uh-oh. I'm competing now with a machine that doesn't sleep, doesn't get depressed, doesn't watch Netflix. As long as Jensen Huang sells you enough GPUs, basically the sky is the limit. Oh, electricity without end. So that's not a good answer. All right. Let me work smarter, not harder. Frameworks. Frameworks are fantastic. They're simplified ways of walking through a difficult problem. What if I apply these frameworks to myself? Not the old frameworks, the new ones like Jan just showed us. But there's an issue here too. The more I look at frameworks, and the more they seem like prompts. Not something that I would use, something that I would tell the AI to use for me. So that's not a great answer as well. Let me try something that is proven and we know works. Productivity, a better routine, waking up earlier, power naps, biohacks. Oops, I think there's a problem there as well. When did we start talking about productivity? Remind me. Oh, factory work, the Industrial Revolution. That's when we started applying productivity to people. We've got a problem. Our maps suck. So the way that we've reached success in the past is probably not going to work in the future. And it's a midlife crisis. You know, some of you are too young for a midlife crisis, and I wouldn't suggest that you start dating somebody half your age, especially looking at some of you in the room. It would be illegal. But do buy a sports car. It's a midlife crisis. It's a crisis of meaning. You know, the dating and the car, they help, but not really. I've done that. What we really want is to go inside. Clearly, hustle, frameworks, productivity are not going to help us. However, I'm quite sure that going inside and asking difficult questions is going to bring its own problems. Now, who amongst us has a PhD? I need you to demonstrate a point. A doctorate? Oh, no PhDs in the room. That's so good. So we can badmouth them, okay? So you know them. There's always somebody that knows it all, okay? Because the first problem that you're going to encounter as you go deep and you look for the answers inside of yourself is overconfidence. Now, I had to admit it to myself. I am overconfident at least 20% of my day. And I'm literally being stupid 20% of my day. And we all know overconfidence, okay? Just look at the government, okay? And if you don't recognize the overconfidence in the government, look at the other faction. Look at the ones that you consider, the enemy, okay? That's overconfidence. And the typical example of overconfidence, obviously, is Nokia 2007. The guy with the turtleneck introduces the iPhone, and officially Nokia says, it's 2G only. Yeah, sure, it was 2G only. The first iPhone sucked. But we are now in a symmetrical situation where the most exciting product that Apple announced at the September keynote is actually the Meta Ray-Ban display. Yeah, that's what I remember from that keynote, the other one. So overconfidence. Overconfidence is something that you will encounter in the form of, oh yeah, I know myself. I know who I am. No, you don't. Okay, just trust me. But half of you is saying, overconfidence. I wish I had overconfidence. Actually, I lack confidence. And I know that because usually people come to me when that is the case. And I know exactly the script. Okay, the script is, hey, look, I need to talk to the board. If you in the room are actually need to do that, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about you. But I need to talk to the board. And what I know is that I need to persuade them. And I say, okay, great. So you need to become persuasive. No, I don't want to become persuasive. I just want the presentation to be persuasive. Okay? I want it to be super convincing. It's like, yeah, but you're going to have to change into somebody else, somebody convincing, persuasive, confident. No. That would change all the power dynamics in my company. My boss would fire me. I cannot do that. I need just the thing, just to convince them this one time, and then I can go back to be the worker ant that I know I am. It's very simple in the end. Like, there is a rating of confidence, low to high. And if you try to be highly confident in the last thing that you're doing, so let's say that I put all of my confidence, not just in tonight, not just in this presentation, in this very slide. Like, this slide has to bring me success, okay? And it bombs. Nobody understands it. Blank stares in the audience. I'm screwed, because I put all my confidence in this, right? What you want to do is start with yourself. Be confident in what? In this bag of meat. Okay, yeah, sure, this bag of meat here. With, I don't know, a mood, a vibe, an energy, ethics, values. Those are the things that matter. The content, all value, things that persuasiveness, details. That's what really matters. Then if you're running a company, you want to trust the mission. You want to have confidence in the mission, and you want to have confidence in the team. But it's decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. The team can change. The vision can be updated all the way to having little to no confidence for the product and the last thing you do. The right brief from that client is, how can I have zero confidence in front of the board and have 100% confidence in myself in front of the board? That is the outcome, the greatest outcome that can happen there. So these are two problems that are internal. However, I think we have another issue, is that we exist in society. And society wants us, or does it? Does it want us to go deep? Does it want us to explore who we really are and discover who we really are and then do the thing? Well, let's check. Society and the gap. You want to go somewhere? Don't worry. You don't need to talk to an operator and book a taxi or something. It's your app, and then it's ... It's coming to you. Do you want something? Oh, I'll get it delivered to you. No worries. You don't need to worry. It's going to be here either in 1 hour or tomorrow. And if it's coming, I'll tell you it's 12 stops away. So you have complete certainty over everything. And do you have some free time? Let's let's watch some Netflix. It's going to be relaxing. It's going to be chill. You don't have a lot of time. You're doing the dishes. You're working out. Give you a podcast. So you can feel that there's something going on, and you don't feel that emptiness of your brain, right? All of your thoughts. That would be terrible, right? And you have some time, but not a lot of time. You like being informed, but you like also being educated, but a little bit of entertainment. I give you YouTube. There's all different sizes and lengths of things. It's super, super convenient. Do you have just a second? Don't worry, there's always some social media to scroll. There's absolutely no problem. And actually, you thought that all of this was convenient. There's one step beyond this. Imagine if I could introduce to you a product that is the ultimate convenience. You won't have to wait for an Uber. You won't have to even pay for the Netflix subscription. You can rip even that gym subscription you're not using anyway, because we need more convenience. We don't want to see the gap at all. And I'm so proud to bring you the definitive product, easy death. Once you're dead, you don't have any other need. Okay. Obviously, I'm not suggesting anything of the sort. But the point is that we are surrounded, literally surrounded with this convenience. And it's preventing, most of the time, it's preventing us from going deep. Now, I promised at the beginning there was a title that said the map, the plan. Now, I'm not going to give you a map. I'm not going to give you a solution, but I'm going to guide you in a certain direction. And this direction is map making. Remember, I asked you to imagine that these things are super smart. They already give you all of the solution. They provide everything you need. Well, at this point, you can really create your own map, your own path, independent of anybody else. But what does it look like? Well, to me, it looks like splitting my personality in 3, okay? And it's not a bad thing. There's one personality trait that, at least for me, is driving me forwards, and that is thinking like a principled CEO. The idea of a principled CEO is somebody who delves in philosophy, in decision-making, in curating a high-quality input. Imagine that you're writing a really high-quality prompt for your brain and thinking through things. And the way that it actually looks like in my day is not going to the computer, but actually going in this little room in my house where there's like 4 things I can do. Like I can get bored, I can read, I can write, I can meditate, I can take a nap. That's it. Okay, there's no devices, there's no distractions, there's no music allowed. So the first personality trait is this thinking high, thinking zoomed out, thinking principles, thinking at the highest level possible. The second personality trait is the saint. Now, to tell you about the saint, just a quick show of hands. Who here has a habit, if you are at home at night, you're going to watch some streaming, some Netflix or something? Who does that? Is that, half of the room? Okay. So who does it for on average in 1 hour, not more than 1 hour, something like that? Who does it for a little bit longer, like a couple of hours? Sometimes, fighting sleep a little bit. Somebody 3 hours? Do I get a 3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours is too much, okay? No 3 hours. All right. Oh, yeah, we have a 3 hours. All right. The more, the better. So the saint is, when I think about the saint, I think about the Buddha under the Bodhi tree finding illumination. And the saint is the personality trait that would say, you know, I meditate 3 hours a day. And if I tell you I don't meditate 3 hours a day, unfortunately, no, that's not true. But if I told you that I meditated 3 hours a day, I think you would think I'm a little bit cuckoo, okay? The saint, unfortunately, thinks the same about watching 3 hours of Netflix. So the saint is so useful because it allows me to reframe all of those habits. Like, for many years, I've done the horrible thing of waking up and looking at the phone immediately. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. I've done it for many years. I've stopped doing it. The saint would say, well, you know, go to rehab. Yeah, just go to rehab. It's not good. And the way that it looks like, it's the saint had me get this property in Brandenburg, this little farm, and tend to the garden, and then invite clients to sit in the garden with me and do some thinking in nature. And the saint is really saving my mental health. It's doing wonders for my mental health. And I think at some point I'll let it take over. I just got invited to a couple of amazing retreats, and one it's going to last like for a month. And yeah, that's the kind of thing that the saint does. But the third personality trait is the one that, to me, is the most difficult, and that is the kid. So there is a reason why you are involved in the industry you're involved in. It might come from this kind of kid-like fascination, I don't know, with technology, with influence, with how things work, with how how we access information, how we become smart or dumb. And whenever I'm stuck, whenever I feel stuck, I try to ask myself, what would I do as a kid? And there's a few things that I've asked my kid self. I try to have a dialogue with my kid self every day. And certainly my kid self was very, very fond of cars, and especially fond of Alfa Romeos. And so one of the services I do for my kid is actually to try to drive old cars. And you know, this is even from before the kid was born. And to enjoy the countryside and enjoy life in a way that the kid finds proper. Wasting time, playing, doing senseless things, following your passions. So this was what I had for you today. I think we need a little bit of a summary. Obviously, hustle is not the answer. It's reflection, is thinking deeply, is understanding ourselves. Unfortunately, in the reflection process, we will encounter those issues. Overconfidence, confidence, and a society that tells us, come on, scroll another, don't stop. Frameworks are not what is going to save us, but principles will. And this is why philosophers and physicists and mathematicians, I think they really have an advantage at this very point of time, because they already think in a principled way. And I give you the example of a principled CEO. I think that is the one way that we can apply this immediately. Obviously, increased productivity, it is not the answer. It's meaning, it's understanding, it's deep understanding. But probably the best framing is this of changing from a world where we are judged by our output. What are your grades? How well are you doing? How many pieces of content can you produce? To a world where we are judged by our input, by the quality of our thinking, by the cleanliness of our thoughts, by how principled these thoughts are. So I believe that if we allow the future to be already here with us, and that if we dare enter that cave we fear to enter, and if we do that battle against convenience and overconfidence and confidence, in the words of Zora Neale Hurston, there are years that ask questions and years that answer. I think that if you're brave enough to bring this timeline to you and start asking these hard questions, you can get really quickly from malaise to renaissance. Thank you.